All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews doing another live review for our holidays 2020. It's just easier this way than having to do all that editing for something that not a lot of people are going to watch. But a lot of fun to go into. And why do I always mess with my hair? The longer my hair gets, the more I mess with it. So yeah, we're on episode 6 of our holidays reviews where we've talked about Santa Jaws. And Santa Jaws is looking pretty good. Santa Jaws is looking pretty good now compared to some of the stuff we've seen, because then we saw Surviving Christmas. All right? Surviving Christmas is just awful. It makes Santa Jaws look like a more competent movie. And then we watched The Muppet Christmas Carol. And that was good. That was really good. I'm really glad I saw that. It had a lot of really good puppetry and stuff. And we watched... There's one in here we're forgetting about. Why am I already forgetting that one? Let's see. Cartman was doing the AIDS. Assassins 33 AD is the one we just watched. I actually wrote down stuff for all that stuff. Oh, Trapped in Paradise. We watched Trapped in Paradise, and I like Trapped in Paradise, even though it's not a perfect movie or anything. Then, yeah, we watched Assassin 33 AD, which was just batshit banana crazies. In there, we saw Muppet Christmas Carol too, and now we're watching this. Santa Jaws now is somebody, one of the actors liked my tweet that we were watching it, and at the time I was like, ugh, because I really trashed that movie. But if I were to re-review it after watching all of these movies so far, I say Santa Jaws is at least one of the most entertaining ones. Because even I really thought Assassins 33 AD was an entertaining movie as hell, if you just don't mind how absolute full of shit it is. But we get to a mainstream movie now. But first, we're going to be talking about a very Harold and Kumar Christmas from 2011. But we first got to talk about the South Park episode. I don't know why I threw my notes. Threw my notes away. Who needs them? We don't need notes. Yes, we do. So a very crappy Christmas. We were actually supposed to do this one. My brain has been so fried that I got my kind of scheduling screwed up. But it ended up working out because Red Sleigh Dawn and Assassin 33 AD actually were great to play together, even if it was out of order. Because both movies have a scene where Jesus gets shot. And in the Saving a Very Crappy Christmas for the same night we do a very Harold and Kumar, hey, that works out too, as far as trying to keep a theme or whatever. But A Very Crappy Christmas it's one of those episodes that now that I've rewatched after a really long time, first I forgot how early in the series A Very Crappy Christmas is, considering how many seasons there are of South Park. I always thought this was one that was a lot further down the road, maybe season 10, 11, or 12 that they did this. And the reason I say that is because it's about the Christmas card that they made initially. Who doesn't know this story, right? That Trey and Matt made that South Park Spirit of Christmas short, and it got spread around to the right people, and eventually somebody saw it, and South Park eventually became a thing. They made South Park off of that short that they made. And so it's a big part of this. And one of the things I think about with A Very Crappy Christmas is I kind of feel like it's them early in the show's series, kind of almost maybe talking about their own longevity, and have they already kind of run their course, because there's a huge bit about consumerism taking over Christmas in this. But at the same time, there's the whole feeling of the spirit of Christmas, that people are hanging out with their families more, spreading love, and not worrying about material things all of a sudden. And that's actually a really good thing. In fact, if anything, the boys solving this problem made the world worse. Because they're kids and they want presents. So they went to the extremes of what, to do to get your presents back, for everybody to stop worrying about being nice and kind to each other. They use 5 pieces of shit to tell everybody, at least in South Park, what the meaning of Christmas really is, and that's buying presents for each other. But it is a really funny episode. It's not as good as I remembered it before. I mean, it is good. I shouldn't say it like that. It's just it's been a long time since it's come out, and I'd seen it a bunch of times, and I don't know. I guess sometimes it's like times change things or whatever. It's not as edgy as it once was. I'm so used to seeing Mr. Hanky, this bouncing piece of shit around, that back then when they, you get introduced the world to a family of shit, where the wife is drunk and one of the kids has a peanut in his head that he was born with, which leads into the logistics that shit had sex with shit and somehow had a shit, has, like, the shit has parts that can make babies. It has it has a reproductive system somehow that gives birth to other shit. And once you accept the insanity of that notion, how much further, more of an imagination do you need to have? I think my imagination might just be a little sprained at the moment because I've seen so much. So seeing 5 pieces of crap sing and talk and dance now is just kind of like, yeah, that's very 2000. That's very year 2000, year 2001. But the whole, the episode is Mr. Hanky is not around at Christmas time. Kyle's wondering what's happening. And they go down into the sewers, like the Goonies, to find Mr. Hanky, and they find out that he's there, he's fine, but he's got a family now, and it's Christmas time, and his wife is drunk. And it's really funny that whole bit, that doesn't get old. Her just them going through this very, I don't know what it is, if it's supposed to be like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, but they're just having a horrible marriage. They got these kids now, and so it's taken away some of Mr. Hanky's, like, Christmas responsibilities have moved away from it a little bit. But when the boys watch a Charlie Brown Christmas, which I really love, that they're mocking it, but they're mocking themselves. They get the idea of making the Spirit of Christmas, which is their own Christmas special, to get people to realize, they play for the whole town and everybody will just go back to buying things again. But like I said, it is inspired by the original. And like I said, I kind of thought that it maybe was speaking towards their own longevity as a show, even. Got Butters in an early episode, little Butters, and him making, if you're not familiar with the character of Butters, he's just the sweetest kid who keeps getting screwed over by a terrible, terrible world that we live in. But he's got his own little dark side here. As you can see, he's like, has the little Barbie, the naked Barbie, and he can't even play with a naked doll without feeling guilty or bad, or that he'll get in trouble. I love it. It's really funny. And then there's like a couple of pretty decent songs in here, but you get the Circle of Pooh that's totally making fun of or parodying The Lion King. And it's just a lot of shit falling all over the place in this video. And again, I'm just kind of like, back then we went, oh, wow, look at all that crap. And now I'm just like, yeah. I thought that the joke about a hard P was better. It's like telling him don't hit the hard P. It's like a musical note or whatever. And they're like, what's a hard P? And he's like, when you have to go to the bathroom really early in the morning. Or when you try to go, when you don't really have to go or something like that. That was funny. Another thing that's always still funny is when one of the little turds puts a shit smile on the hobo. Like, oh look, he's better now. We made a smile on his face. Um, but in the end, their plan works. Their little, little video that they made is shown to the town, and the town realizes that it's presents that are important, not family and love. And so that's a very crappy Christmas. And you know what? I mean, it really is apt title because that's a pretty crappy Christmas. So let's get on to talking about. Oops, wrong button. Let's get to talking about. Yeah, we got to talk about this. Very Harold and Kumar Chris. Like screw even putting in the titles. We just care about the guys, right? So Harold and Kumar Christmas comes out in 2011 in 3D when 3D movies were still all over the place. And I mean, they were still around even up till COVID times a little less now, I would say, but this was in that heyday of everything being 3D. Even though they poke fun at it about, the 3D thing being over already. Here's the thing, right? Harold and Kumar go to White Castle or whatever. I didn't see it at the movies. I finally saw it on DVD. This is when it first came out, and I bought the DVD, and I thought it was pretty funny. It wasn't perfect, but I laughed more than I didn't, And it was a stoner comedy, and who doesn't like to smoke? Oh, shouldn't say like that. But being one who likes to take the occasional drag, hey, some of it was funnier because of that. But then comes Harold and Kumar and the Guantanamo Bay one, and I just didn't. I know what it was doing. And I know what the jokes were for, and it's being topical. I just didn't think it was funny. And Neil Patrick Harris, as in the first one, steals the movie. He steals it in the second one. Now we're at a very Harold and Kumar Christmas in 3D. But if you're watching it at home, you just get to see where the 3D would be. So we're 3 movies deep in this series. I think this has only been 3. I don't think there's been a 4th. So 9 years. If they were going to make a Harold and Kumar movie, it'll probably be happening really, really soon or never, ever again. And again, I can't stop playing with my hair. And it's what I like to call a shenanigans movie. This is a shenanigans pot movie. But as we get to the third movie, I don't know if it's just me. I just didn't find it funny for the most part. And I was in the mood for it. Like I didn't really have any expectations, and it just didn't live up to even those expectations. I think a lot of it's crazy to say that 2011, you go, how, I don't even know if some of this stuff in this movie could even be made anymore. And that was only 9 years ago. There's a few scenes in here that are just like, holy God. Like, and what I mean is, obviously it's, anybody could still make these movies and do whatever you want. But if in this time period that we're in now, some of this stuff would be seriously gone over a few times before they let it out into the public. There's the scene with Neil Patrick Harris later in the film, where the joke is, that we all know that Neil Patrick Harris is gay. So in the first movie, he's just being this like, I think this was even before he came out, that he was like this big old, chasing girls around and doing drugs. And then in the second one, he gets killed. In the third one, we see him with his actual partner at the time. I don't know if they're still together because I don't follow that stuff. But he's in it, and he's basically playing that the whole time. The movie Neil Patrick Harris version of himself is still straight, pretending to be gay, so that it plays better, and he actually still does all the things, and he's a horrible human scumbag. And it was really funny, and as always it is in these movies, him coming and just taking over and being this really just absolute scumbag version of himself. But then there's a moment near the end of that where even I thought that just because we're all in on the joke, it just got real uncomfortable for a quick second, because it just reminds me too much of what's going on these days. And like the fact that somebody said, yeah, that's an all right thing to do no matter who you are or what the joke is. But like the joke in the movie is he's pretending to be gay, and in the scene he's finishing himself off on the back of a woman who doesn't know that he's doing that and is still under the impression that it's all right because we're girlfriends. And that just, even me, I was like, how do you even agree to do that scene? But again, 2011, I guess 9 years is a long time. I don't know if anybody could pull that off now. Now, this movie, it's trying. It really is trying. Like I've said that about a couple of movies. Like even Assassin 33 AD was trying to be successful at what it was aiming at. And I think it was successful at what it was aiming at. It's just not a good movie. And this, it just, sometimes it, just getting a bunch of people that you like in a movie doesn't mean it's good. You got Patton Oswalt here at the beginning as a pot dealing Santa Claus, right? He's sits at the mall and then deals pot out the back. And I'm supposed to, I guess I just didn't find it funny because it's just like, yeah, I get it. Patton's a nerd. He likes pot. Okay, where's the joke? That he's a Santa Claus, a mall Santa dealing pot? Is that the joke? So that's not funny to me. That's just pretty realistic these days. You never know who's a pot dealer. You got Bobby Lee, who's actually a really funny, I think he's a really funny comedian. His big scene is getting pegged with about 100 eggs in slow motion. Okay. I kept thinking about how it probably really hurt if they did it for real. Like he probably had some bruises. The funniest part up until that point was there was a fake commercial on where a kid gets electrocuted and then another one scalded by hot syrup. And it's all for a commercial for WaffleBot. And I thought that was really funny. The WaffleBot commercial where literally they show like kids getting burned by scalding syrup and a kid literally getting electrocuted by sticking his fork in a toaster. I guess that says a lot about my sense of humor. And I do like that WaffleBot loves you. Don't ever forget that, folks. WaffleBot does love you. But the movie is basically Harold is trying to prove to his wife's father, his father-in-law, played by Danny Trejo, that he, is ready to give them the Christmas of a lifetime and earn the man's respect, even though he's done nothing to disrespect him. He just, doesn't like Harold because his mother was killed by a Korean gang, and it's all really silly and, like I said, shenanigans. This Harold's problem could be solved with a single conversation. But again, then you'd have no movie. And Kumar's plot is even worse because it's, if you want to be a complete just stay-at-home slacker and smoke pot all day, and you can do that, if you can afford to do that, if your life is set it up in a way where you can actually do that and you're fine with it, like actually fine with it, more power to you. The rest of us have to at least try to be adults when we're not goofing off. Like, look at me. I do my adult thing and now I'm goofing off. Kumar's whole thing in this is that he finds out that that's got a price to be paid. His girlfriend leaves him because he's not taking life serious enough or whatever. She gets pregnant too. She's coming around his house. It's all just pizza boxes and pot smoke. And so he's got a baby on the way, and what does he plan on doing about it? That's his problem for the movie, right? do I have to start being an adult? Dun dun dun. And there's nobody's saying that these movies have to have like these really huge stakes, but the stakes in this are literally like a couple of conversations had, and you're fine. We had more fun discussing the fact that there's a baby being dragged around through this movie by its father, played by Thomas Lennon, who also he's trying his ass off to improv the fuck out of this movie to make the lines funny. So Thomas Lennon, he's trying his butt off, and he's carrying this kid around named Ava, and we thought it was the most interesting part of the commentary in our chat was discussing the fact that this toddler, baby, infant is played by 3 different children, all siblings, I believe. And so you could tell that the age of the child keeps going up and down depending on whatever scene you're watching. If that's what is getting the chat going, then your movie is failing at other things. Because the main subplot in this movie is they're dragging this other guy around, who's just a guy, like their neighbor or one of their roommates or whatever. I think it's their neighbor, whose big plan is to deflower a virgin that he met online, go to her party, and have sex with her. That is the B plot in this movie. And we find out that the girl that he's planning on deflowering is the daughter of a mob boss, played by Elias Koteas, who is a phenomenal actor. And you know what they give him to do in this movie? Abso-fucking-lutely nothing. He gets shown up by a shake weight. You get Elias Koteas in your movie, you give him something to do. When people that know actors, and I know I'm being a little pretty serious here, when you bring in an actor like him, the nerds that know who that guy is expect you to do something with him. He's a great, great, great actor. And he's just... if this was his choice to be in this movie, this was a paycheck movie where he said, "Oh, I just get to be here for one day and give a shit. No problem." But this movie didn't do right by him. Even though the idea of, yes, the baby gets high, and then somebody sprays Coke in the baby's face and the father's face. And again, shenanigans, because the baby's like crawling on the ceiling and shit. So that's kind of funny, but again, it wasn't getting through to me. But this movie did give us my baby is fucked on cocaine. So we do have that. There was like a scene where their car crashed, and I really just hoped that they had both died or were gravely injured, because I just didn't care. I was like, wow, I do not care. Because the one guy's like saying that he's, just pretend I'm Robert Pattinson's acting coach, and I'm like, oh my god, like these are all scumbags. Also, this movie uses a lot of fake shots. Like there's a fire in a tree earlier, complete fake tree. You can tell that they're not in any danger at all. It's all like, just there was green screen behind them when there was like a car explosion, so they're not there. You wonder how many shots in here are them just standing in front of a green screen. There were at least 3 or 4 of them, and I don't mean scenes where you'd expect it to be. Scenes where you don't expect it to be looked like garbage. They have a callback to the 2 guys from the first movie, Rosenberg and Goldstein, played by Eddie K. Thomas and the guy from Numbers and Serenity. And oh man, I can't believe I don't remember that guy's name. And they go to White Castle. And for like a second, this movie kind of got like back on track to its roots and had a funny scene of them in the diner. I thought that was really funny. But there wasn't enough of that. I was still just trying to up the stakes of each of its movies, which was still like, I guess 2011, like we were getting near the end of that raunch, like the raunchy movies that we've been putting up with since like American Pie. There'd been like a lot. There'd been a lot of them, folks, over the past 20 years. And early on, look, there were some gems out there. Like There's Something About Mary, but for the most part, they're all pretty bad. And this follows that same kind of really at the end of its tired run gags. Like how many more dick jokes can there actually be? So this time the dick is stuck on a frozen pole, like in a Christmas Story that Kumar was watching earlier. But it's happening to Harold instead. And that's the second time you see somebody's dick. The first time is in Claymation. And I mean, the Claymation part was actually kind of cool because it took me out of the movie I was watching and put me in a weird Claymation world, and I was much happier to be there. Danny Trejo, though, I'm glad that he's in this. I mean, who'd have thought that a guy with a giant tattoo on his chest of a woman would end up being this big of an actor? Like Seriously, right place, right time, right director, I guess, but Danny Trejo is great in this as well. He's trying. Wafflebot coming to the rescue. They shoot Santa in the face. All these things are also like in any shenanigans movie, they're nonplussed over. Like I was talking about in Assassin 33 AD, sorry, not plural. Nobody was freaking out that they were like the first time travelers, that there's Jesus, or we're in Bible times, or time travel is real. Everybody was just so normal about all of this brand new discoveries. And in this movie, right, that's supposedly in a realistic world, crazy stuff just keeps happening to them, and they take it all in stride. And I would just really like it if at one point in one of these movies they were like, what is happening in our world that this is allowed to happen? Like it would work in a pop movie. Breaking the fourth wall works in a pop movie. Do something like that. Because in the end is all's forgiven for everybody. Harold does what he should have done at the beginning of the movie and had a conversation with his dad, with Danny Trejo's character. And everything is all good. All good. Nothing wrong. It's all fine. And Santa Claus that they shot in the head gives them a Christmas tree that they've been looking for the whole time. And then Kumar sneaks into his girlfriend's parents' home to tell her that he's ready to have a kid with her. And yeah, so he does it by sneaking into her room like a fucking 15-year-old. And all is forgiven. She's literally like, yay, we're back together. And then his last line is to say, let's have sex before you get fat on me. I noticed, there was some fun being had in the chat, and it wasn't like a movie that I hated, but I didn't really like it much either. I didn't have any expectations for this. I actually kind of figured it might be bad, but it might be good. I was actually kind of like, man, maybe this will be one of those times where you're really surprised and you enjoyed it. But I enjoyed about 20% of the 100% of this movie. But it's still better. Is it better than Assassin 33 AD? Yes, only on the level that it's not full of shit. I don't know. But at a technical level, it is better than Assassin 33 AD. But I don't know. Assassin 33 AD entertained me a lot more than this did. And that's a movie about time travelers who are trying to stop Jesus from being executed. And see, that even sounds better than this movie actually now. But speaking of, so if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. We are going to be on Sunday afternoon at around probably 4:30. We're going to be reviewing live Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas from 1977. We're going to go back to 1977, and another Jim Henson thing. It's only like a 55-minute thing long, so it's not going to be long. So we're going to cover that. And then Tuesday, we're doing Jack Frost. Then Wednesday, we are doing. Okay, see, this is where I'm glad that we have a Discord. Jack Frost on Tuesday. On Wednesday, it's that's what it is. On Wednesday, it's I have the Discord. I should just look it up, right? Do this in a freaking live video, right? and somebody's might be typing in the chat, and it's like, hey, guess what? Can't see you when I'm looking something up somewhere else. Oh yeah, Secret Santa. So yeah, so Tuesday, okay, Sunday it's Emmett Otter. Tuesday is Jack Frost. Wednesday is Secret Santa. And then Friday is Batman Returns. And then Sunday, It's a Wonderful Life. So thanks for watching, everybody. You can see me on Twitch where we're playing a few different games right now. And is Dark Materials on Monday. And just basically whatever else I want to do, whenever I want to do it. So have a great night, and we will see you on the next one of these. Bye. Thanks, everybody in the chat, by the way. Raina, Deborah, Bill. And Marisu is popping in here really quickly to say I just binge watched all your His Dark Materials reviews. Good stuff. Thank you. And I'll see you all later.